Okay, that Twitter thing you sent me this morning infuriated me. The one
Which
with the
one?
Mao Zedong picture in the
Oh yeah,
background,
yeah,
that
yeah,
politician.
yeah, yeah,
You know, that guy, at a minimum, killed 40 million people,
yeah,
right? At a
yeah,
minimum, because
yeah,
you know how the facts and figures flow freely from China.
yeah,
And because they're estimating on the low end, 40 million people he killed, right?
yeah,
That's more than Adolf Hitler,
yeah,
Joseph Stalin, and all the other madmen of the 20th century combined.
yeah.
And I see, my point is, I'd love to talk to this guy and say, why do you have, actually, I'd love my wife to talk to this guy. First of all, she would kill him, right?
Yeah,
Not literally, so please don't send the police to our door.
yeah,
And she would ask him, why do you have a picture of Mao Zedong on your wall,
I
right?
know.
And then he would say his reasons, and then my wife, who lived through this cultural revolution, would give her reasons, right?
Mm,
Her reasons are lived through, real, and you know they're facts, right? His reasons are feelings. Oh, he had the people at his heart. Oh, yeah, he killed 35 million people, but what he meant was, and he loved his people, and he doesn't love the people. None of these Soviet-led socialist communist people
well,
love the people, the peasants. Marx said he doesn't care about the peasants. He
right.
cares about the movement. He
Yeah.
wrote that down on paper in
Yes.
ink, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And how this guy has this picture of Mao. I think it's like that Chavez picture that everyone has in their shirt. That
Oh,
revolutionary guy with the hat. They
yeah.
think it's cool, and
Edgy.
that's why they have it.
Look how
You know,
edgy. Yeah.
and that's the only reason I can think this guy has the Mao picture. I'd love a reporter just to ask him, hey, why do you have that Mao picture on your wall? Just ask them and
They
get an answer.
they 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 think the Marxists think that killing people is how else are you supposed to get where you want them to where you as the leader want
Yeah.
to be.
It's part of the movement.
These
They have
people,
to. They're necessary casualties.
yes, the Chavez shirt people and the Mao Zedong shirt people that wear this stuff, they think that's okay.
Yeah,
Those 40 million people were bad.
yeah,
They were the bad ones that were standing in the way of progress, the progressives.
right.
They're the ones, they want this. Look, I just read an article today or a tweet today from, Kurt Schilling, the
Yeah.
pitcher. Kurt Schilling, AIG, his insurance company,
Uh-huh.
just dropped him because of his social media brand. He's
Oh,
and they just dropped him.
wow.
They, okay, it's not killing, but they don't care. Look what they're doing to Trump. They want to deperson you.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey from Twitter. They want to deperson and dehumanize you. I sent you that thing the other day. They want all the conservatives to be doing the menial jobs.
Yeah.
This is what Marxists think. They're not. They have no interest in humanity. None.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're interested in getting to power and creating
And
creating.
keeping the power, and they
Yes.
get to enjoy the fruits of the power. See, that's what they want. I mean,
There's,
they don't give a shit about
I
anybody.
tell you to ask you about this the other day, but okay, China has 1.5 billion people. The
Yeah.
United States has 330 million.
Yeah.
But here in the United States, pretty much every American citizen, in one way or another, gets to participate on it. In other words, even our poor people that are on Section 8 housing,
Yeah.
they still go to Best Buy and shop. Okay, they can still buy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, again, okay, maybe they're not living in man, but they still participate as consumers in the economy.
Yeah.
What I want, and now everybody, all these American businesses that are just pouring to the Chinese. What I'm wondering is, what percentage of China's population can participate in the economy the way Americans do?
Well, my wife keeps sending me these stories of people living in Shanghai and Beijing. They've lived there for decades, right? And they live in these 200 square foot box apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And these old people live in there. So you look at the Chinese news media, and in the city, I think the percentage is relatively high. Okay. And when I mean the city, I mean, in the actual city. But on the countryside, it's almost zero. Because
Yes.
that's why you see these huge migrations during Chinese New Year and holidays from the cities to the country. Because all the country people are working in the cities at these manufacturing jobs. And so these people, they save up their money, they send them back to their house. But I don't think it's as high as people say. Because if you
So
go in the city, of course they have, they go shopping and they have good jobs and stuff. But I don't think it's as high. That's why, okay, they have 1.2 billion people. We only have 300 million, yet we're the biggest consumer on the planet.
right.
They have 4 times as many people as we do, at least four or 5 times as many people. Yet we're still the biggest consumer in the world. Same with
Right.
India. India has just under Chinese numbers for people, right? Just barely under. Yet we're still number one as a consumer,
Right.
and
That's
that gives you your answer right there.
because, for example, Hollywood. Hollywood changes its movies to accommodate the Chinese rules. Like the new version of Top Gun that came out, they took the Taiwanese flag off of his leather jacket
Yeah,
because China told them to.
yeah.
They're doing this. They're doing this for the so-called Chinese market. But are the country people able to go see American movies?
Now, well, in the city, it's a market. Remember, even
If
if you
it,
have 300 million people able to buy stuff there,
well,
that's still as many as here.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So if their functioning economy is even less than 300 million people,
Uh-huh.
like US is, why are you trying to take? I know they keep looking at it like, look at that market, 1.2 billion people, but
Market growth,
what?
potential market growth.
Yeah, but
That's what they're looking at.
don't China allow the country people to expand into a middle class?
Yeah, they'd like to, but they can't. Of course they'd love to do
They can't
that.
possibly maintain the manufacturing money that they do.
Yeah,
I know I understand how it works in manufacturing. They're making $2.35 a day or a
yeah,
week or whatever it is, but their families are kept in dorms, and they get housing and medical coverage, and they live effectively on these as on a campus of
yeah,
manufacturing, and the whole family works. I
yeah.
understand how that works, but if they did what Biden wants to do and give a mandatory $15 an hour um, wage, China couldn't possibly continue being the manufacturing capital of the world.
No, there's no way.
Dollar
Because
stores in the United States would end. They would be the $15 store.
even now, $15 an hour wage would make Taco Bell a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah,
And I have to stop going because as you know, I go to McDonald's quite a bit, and I've noticed the prices go up slowly, slowly, slowly because California gives the added benefits, and I'm not sure how to handle it. But I know that I can't go out to eat every single day for lunch anymore
no,
because it's getting a little bit more expensive.
yeah, it is.
And it gets to the point where, okay, even at McDonald's type restaurants, I'm spending, $10 a day at lunch. So that's $50 a week.
Yeah,
And that gets to the point where it's like, well, I don't know if I can do that anymore. It's a
yeah,
lot of money,
no, it
you know?
is. Gus and I go to McDonald's, and the two of us get pretty much exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
and so it's two of everything, and it
Yeah.
comes to like $27.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
And I'm like, I used to be able to get a fucking delicious steak for $27, and I'm eating this shit for
Yeah.
$27.
I
You
know.
know
Yeah.
what
It's,
the fuck?
it's crazy. Just, real quick, I have to get gas in a few minutes, but I was reading this article of this circus in Russia had a monkey dressed up as a Nazi, right? And then the handler of the monkey was dressed up as a Soviet, politician person. So the Soviet politician person was, controlling the
Controlling
Nazi
monkey.
monkey. and
Yeah.
it was put on by this Orthodox, church circus or whatever. So but that's not the point of my story. They go on to the story, and then the very last line, it was a one-line thing saying, Russia is still one of the few countries to allow animals in circuses. Like that was the ending statement of this article. And it's
Unbelievable.
like, remember when you had Barnum and Bailey and everything else, and the
Yeah.
circus came to town, you had the elephants. Well,
Yeah.
the kids now don't realize that because they took that away. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, is an animal in a zoo any better? Can you imagine waking, like right now, for 1 year in the pandemic, most people can't go out and do anything, but they still do, but not as much as they used to. So they basically sit home all day, all night, and do nothing. And that's what an
Yeah.
animal in a zoo does. How is that better than the circus? And I know when they're
I
doing the circus thing, they bring out this elephant that's skinny, tied to a pole, that they probably took in Thailand someplace, not Barnum and Bailey. And they wheel
right.
this out saying, see, there's animal abuse. And it's like, well, these elephants live better than I do. Yeah, they have to perform 2 or 3 times a day. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but who doesn't? Would you rather have them hanging around the San Diego Zoo doing
Yeah.
moving a barrel with their trunk? You know,
Well,
it's
I had a guy in the car the other day. He has a service dog,
uh-huh,
and
uh,
he was injured in Iraq,
yeah.
and he had the service. And the funniest thing that the guy kept saying that blew him away about the service dog is he could pick a credit card up off the floor.
All right.
He was so amazed by that, and frankly, I'm kind of amazed by it because
I'd like to see him do it.
yeah,
That's pretty amazing.
when I drop my credit card, I'm like, God damn it! You can never get your fingernail underneath.
Yeah, you got to get your fingernails underneath it and then lift it up. That's amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
so I can do this, and I'm thinking, and the guy was telling me, he goes that to raise a service dog, the one that he has, it costs $60,000. Dog,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's good.
and so I'm thinking, whenever we see a blind person or somebody with a service dog, we're like, oh, isn't that wonderful? But the dog's basically a slave.
I know.
Because they wear that vest and it says, "Please do not pet my dog," because the
I
dog
know. Yeah.
print on the user and everything. I just had another blind guy in the car and we were talking about that, and so like they're slaves.
I know.
You know? But I know, like when I during my Silicon Valley years, I would walk around and I'd be like, this dog needs like, God, this dog has a nicer life than I do.
I know.
It
Yeah.
gets on a leather sofa. I can't afford a leather sofa.
Yeah. Who the hell can you? Hey, all the flags are half staff in California. Do you know why?
I don't know.
I don't know. Are they half staff out there?
I'm trying to think of who just died. Somebody did just die recently. I don't know. I never really.
That Pittsburgh Steeler guy died at 52. Did you see that?
No.
Of COVID-related illnesses.
COVID.
And I read all the articles to see what he really died from, and they wouldn't say. But
Yeah.
this was a football guy that black people should look up to.
Yeah.
He was a family man. He was a religious guy, and he died at 52. So there had to be some kind of underlying thing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't say. And usually when they don't say, that means he died of something else. But, he's not famous, but nobody looks up to this guy. But everybody should.
Yeah.
He's not a rapper. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't bang other women.
Yeah.
He doesn't have 8 kids from 6 different women.
Yeah.
He's a family guy, raising his family, and nobody knows who he is. And so when
the Democrat Party is the party of degenerates.
Oh, they are complete degenerates.
Celebrate every deviant human behavior there is.
Yeah, that's why when they roll these people out like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bill Clinton, that's why they think they're completely normal, because they're all deviants. They're all weirdos. Well, that's why Hollywood. Go ahead.
Totally. These guys are scumbags. But the thing that I thought was so funny about the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing is, you know who gives a shit about Arnold Schwarzenegger? Our age and older.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Kids today, they don't.
They don't
You
even know
can't
who
get a
he
kid
is.
yeah, they don't know who he is. You can't get a kid today to watch Terminator.
There's
They
no
wouldn't
way.
watch these special effects suck. This is
Yeah.
like an old. It's like when you and I were like 12 or 13, and our parents said, "Hey, you want to see a movie? You got to see The Big Sleep with Humphrey Bogart." Now that's a movie. Oh, you got to see the Kane Mutiny with Humphrey Bogart. That's a movie. We're like, I don't know shit.
I think the last movie they remember Arnold being in is Batman as Mr. Freeze.
It, that, that was from our generation. We were in our 20s when that came out.
Yeah, I know that was the last movie. No, it was relatively the last movie he did before he was governor, wasn't it? Or while he was
So
governor?
it was like
I
the
don't remember.
early 90s.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was the worst horrible movie. They don't remember the good action movies he
You
was
know what
in.
we keep forgetting? You know what, like people our age keep forgetting? We go back to like 95 and 91,
Yeah,
and it's like not that long ago,
yeah.
but 2020. So these kids that are in college, they don't have any recollection of the 90s, let alone the 80s,
It's
70s.
like when we were growing up, it was like 30 years ago was World War II.
No, it was so weird.
Yeah,
I about that all the time, and I'm like, oh, World War II, that was forever ago,
yeah, I know.
So
Oh my
these
God, that was a
say, oh,
ridiculous amount of time.
1995, they're like, nah, geez, I don't even think I was born yet.
Yeah, I know.
You
Yeah,
know?
some of them weren't. That's why they don't know anything,
Yeah, yeah,
and they just don't look into anything.
yeah,
It's like, oh my God, what does the Twitter feed say? Oh,
yeah.
that must be real, you know?
No, I had
Uh,
an old in the car the other day. I was bringing her to this retirement facility, and they have a gate, that you have to go through. And during the whole COVID thing, one of the things that was interesting about this retirement facility is, as of a few months ago, they had no deaths. They were
yeah,
all sick. It wasn't a nursing home. It was one of those retirement, very very high expensive retirement. Anyway, there were no deaths there. And so I was
yeah,
talking to the old lady about it. I said, "Yeah, I heard you guys had no deaths." She goes, "No, we had two." I said, "Oh,
yeah,
okay." And I said, "But I said when I would pick people up here, I said I'd go to the gate, and I said, and it was like Checkpoint Charlie, to get in because they'd
yeah.
ask you all these questions." She goes, "It was like Checkpoint Charlie." She goes, "They would have a clipboard, and you had to answer, and they'd take your temperature and everything." And then I said, "Do you know the kids today have no idea what Checkpoint Charlie is?
Yeah.
No idea. They
No
never
clue.
ever learned in school, a graduating high school senior, what Checkpoint Charlie was and what the
Interesting.
significance of it was." And
Yeah,
that's what are stupid. I don't know
yeah.
what they're learning, but they
I don't know.
sure anything important.
Hey, I got to put gas in. I'll talk to
I,
you later.